Do you remember how much he paid for that video?
He paid for the all inclusive.
I'm so
all
curious.
inclusive for the video, the stockings on thong and shoes that I had to send him. That was $500.
$500. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to 30 Years and Running. I'll be your host, Christian, and each week my friends and I will be looking at life seen through the eyes of 30-somethings. Whether it's things like dating, social media, or mental health, we'll be looking at the past, present, and future of being in your 30s. Welcome to 30 Years and Running. I've got the lovely Anna here with me today.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm alright, thank you.
Good. So you might remember before we had a previous episode about OnlyFans, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can watch somewhere around here. And I was literally just saying to Anna off air, like, we didn't quite get to cover everything that we did with the lovely Charlotte as well. So I thought we'd just do another part two. So thank you very much for coming on, Anna. Appreciate it. No worries, my pleasure. So I guess we should just start from the top, I guess, in terms of like OnlyFans and like how did you even kind of get into it in the first place?
No,
Really?
it was people kept asking me for it. I was doing modelling and I was going more and more into the kind of adult side of modelling, and I kept being asked by fans on, say, Instagram and people who wanted to shoot me, like, do you do this, and I really couldn't be bothered. Really couldn't be bothered, and I still not great at the whole technology side of it, but that's okay because actually it's turned out that it's not as hard as I thought. I gave it a go. I did quit at one point. I just had a tantrum and threw my and just deleted my whole account.
What happens?
Overnight.
I feel like
I got
there's a
fed up
story
of it. I think I'd had a difficult summer. I was ill. I was tired. I was fed up of things going on, and I just decided it was too much. But rather than think it through and maybe take a step back or try to replan how I was running it, I just threw a tantrum and deleted it one day.
Fair enough. It gets like that.
Then I got over that tantrum and I had a bit of a quiet time work-wise. It wasn't so much of a money situation. It was just that I found I had more time on my hands, and I thought, why am I, rather than just sit and watch Netflix, this is the days where actually I could be doing something that could be running in the background. So I started it up again with all fresh photos and all with a new agenda, taking it lot more of a game plan now.
Yeah.
And I've got to really actually enjoy the process now.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing it on my own terms. I think one of the mistakes I was making before is I was just doing things because I felt I had to, and as a result it was making me miserable because I was just doing this job one of the jobs I do that I just really didn't enjoy. It was horrible. It was a real chore, and therefore any money I got from it was like, do you know what I mean? Unless you're making hundreds of thousands of pounds, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to do something that I don't enjoy doing, and at the time I didn't, and now I do, but back then I really didn't like the first episode of OnlyFans, my first go at doing it. That's why I quit it.
I was so on that point, just so I'm clear, was it just the things that you're being asked to do which you didn't like, or is it more just like the arduous process of like uploading, replying
it
to
was
people,
sitting
blah
there
blah blah
on a computer, on a screen. It's that screen time that I didn't enjoy. Sitting there doing uploads, and I like getting out and about and meeting people and being with people in the real world.
And here you are.
And here I am. So I think what's made it different this time is I don't just have to go sit there at a computer, do it, making it tedious. I still go out and I go and shoot with people and I meet different people, and it might only be for content for my OnlyFans. But it means I'm still getting that shoot experience, that getting out and about, the meeting all different types of people from all different walks of life, meeting new people, making new styles of content, just new ways of doing things, and it keeps it interesting, and then it keeps me interested.
Yeah. And I suppose just in terms of like getting out and about and meeting people, like how do you find that? I know you just said that you kind of like that aspect to it, but I think almost like from a practical perspective, like how do you find it? Because I'd imagine, or maybe I could be wrong, like maybe you have to travel long distances, maybe you do it for like in the knowledge that in the back of your head, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if that makes sense, like in terms of money.
You don't know. I mean, you don't know until you make content how it's going to do.
Yeah.
But the more stuff you can make, the more you put out there, the consistency and the authenticity, it will work because you'll find your way. I think also it comes across, if you're comfortable doing a certain thing or being a certain way, that will come across well. Whereas if you're not enjoying it and you're trying to have to fake it, it's I don't know many people who can really, really loathe what they're doing and it still be appreciated. Like they're not gonna, even on a subconscious level, they're not gonna put the effort in. They're not gonna be really being in the moment, and that's gonna show.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best thing, is to, rather than go, does this type, what content works? Let's look at other people there. Do what you're comfortable doing, because then it won't feel like a chore, and then you can really dive into it, enjoy it, and people will be able to see that authenticity.
Yeah, I guess that's 101 of social media. Right? You can kind of talk about OnlyFans being social media, I guess, but like that's kind of 101 really, just because, you know, you can't kid people. Like, they know when you're enjoying something, they know when you're being your natural self, or like ostensibly your natural self and stuff like that. So I can imagine that obviously extends to OnlyFans as well. And I guess from like a collaborator perspective, do you tend to work with the same collaborators like over and over, and you just do different stuff with them, or is it quite a diverse pool that you tend to work with?
It's quite diverse. Mainly because I don't do it very often. So, because you can get quite a lot done in one day. I went up with worked with a couple last week it was, and we spent a day together, and they've got a purpose place, you know, they use for shooting, which was great. It was all set up with everything. They did the editing, because I'm rubbish at actual editing.
I mean, join the club. Like, there's not much editing, not to make it about this, but like, there's not much editing to this, but like, I'm terrible at editing.
I don't enjoy it, and I'm not very good at it, probably because I don't enjoy it. Whereas there, we got 5 videos done in one day. Now, in terms of...
Jeez.
Like, I don't have a set schedule for when they go on OnlyFans, but on other platforms they will be like once a week. So that's 5 weeks worth of content. Because they don't need to be like hour-long videos. The only kind of videos that work are 10 minutes is fine.
And on that point, just quickly to touch on it, like what were those 5 videos? You don't have to go into the details.
Okay,
if you don't
the
want
5
to, but
videos
like, just give me a sense of like.
Let me try and remember what they were now, because I do so much stuff. Okay, one was a sensual massage, or rather a massage that turned naughty.
Yeah.
One was a girl scene. That was a first for her, so I kind of helped her out, showing her how to do various things there. One was a threesome, her and a partner. One was a domination one, where they dommed me.
Mm-hmm. And is that something, sorry, just to quickly go off on tangent, is that something you enjoy, or is that just something you just did just because it was...
I enjoy the when it comes to making content, it is very much... although I enjoy what I'm doing, that is I see that as a job for me. In terms of, I get into the acting mode. I come from a drama school background, and this is a character that I get into, and I love that. I love being able to get in character. I love being able to improvise on what to say, and if I'm in a scene where I feel comfortable with what I'm doing, where I understand the character, I enjoy that, because it means I know that I can do a good job. On the other end of the scale, I was thrown into a deep end once. I was booked by a German videographer who has various channels on different websites, and it's very much fetish content, and it's very much around the kind of the women being the dominator, lots of medical fetish, lots of like degrading talk, like lots of, but it's talk the whole time. So it's all.
And is this degrading talk to men or women?
To men,
or both?
to men, ball busting, that kind of stuff.
Ball busting?
And, so
as in you're stepping on somebody's nuts?
not literally. Okay. Not literally, because in real life, because in the way he films is, the camera is the person. Yeah. Okay. So
it's like POV
I would
style.
Look into the camera and be degrading to them, like to speak to them in a very derogatory way, and that was the idea. But when now I understand the process. Now I understand how it works, and I know what to do. And I go, right, I know what to say here. I know what to do. But at first, the first time I met him, I sort of knew what he was asking of me, but his English wasn't great, and so he was telling me in this sort of half English a vague concept of a video that was quite new to me at the time, that sort of style. And these videos had to be about 10-15 minutes long. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried talking for 10 or 15 minutes. That's a long time. Yeah. That's a really long time. One mistake I do is I tend to go too fast. It's probably what I'm doing on this podcast as well.
All good.
It's the ADHD.
No, you're absolutely fine.
It's the ADHD in me. But 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes is a hell of a lot of time if you don't know what to say.
It's also tough when you're not speaking to somebody per se, because you're just talking to the camera,
It's not a two-way conversation. It's just constant repeating of things. And I found that really hard at first because I didn't understand the character.
Yeah.
Now I've worked with him subsequently again, and I nailed it. And he books me every time he flies over here.
Yeah.
But
you had
that
to
was
really
tricky
dig
because I
deep
didn't
into your drama
understand
bag there.
what I had to say. I mean, one of the shoots, he was, as I say, he wasn't speaking very much English. He didn't tell me much about it. He gave me this tiny little storyline that was supposed to stretch out to 50 minutes, and I had to suddenly go halfway through filming, you're going to have to help me out here. What am I supposed to say? I don't understand what you want from me. But once I understood, it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, you got there in the end. I was just saying, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I was just saying, I bet you had to really dig deep into your drama bag there.
I mean, you can get creative in a fun way. When you're trying to, especially want to be nasty to someone, you can get creative. The name calling, just telling, when you're using words like stupid, pathetic, weak little idiot,
Yeah.
you're pathetic. You're a tiny little man with a tiny little dick that deserves to be chopped off, and you can just go to town with all these really crazy things.
On that point, just quickly, I always find that, each their own on this kind of stuff. I always find it just interesting how that for some people is like a bit of a fetish. For you, do you find it, it's going to sound weird, do you find it almost like therapeutic to be able to just like literally just unload like
I wouldn't say it's therapeutic in the way that it's not for me to be angry or to be degrading like that. That doesn't, for me it's about getting into character for a job, so it doesn't relate to my real life, no. It is fun in the same way that playing is fun. That's what, sometimes my job is just like playing. Is you're just dressing up and you're putting on a show, and it's brilliant fun. But I wouldn't say it's cathartic in any way.
Fair enough. I think.
And also, if I get too emotionally involved, I forget I have a job to do. There's a very big difference. This is what people don't understand. They think, if you work in the porn industry in any way, it must be great fun. You're just having sex all the time with all these hot people. I'm like going, do you know what? I'm thinking, where's the light? Where's the angle? Where's the camera? Is the camera moved? What am I supposed to be saying? What's next in the agenda of what we're supposed to be doing? Because a lot of the time things are shot in one go. They might be edited slightly. That's what's going through our heads, because it's not a personal environment. It's we're making a show for someone.
Yeah.
And it has to be about the people watching it. It's not about us.
Sure. I think do you know what's interesting to me as well? And part of the reason why I wanted to start doing a few episodes on OnlyFans is just the varying degrees of motivations for it. Because when I spoke to Charlotte before, it was more about her kind of embracing her sexuality. I think at the time she'd just broken up with a boyfriend. She was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to go and do it. Whereas for you, it's almost like, not completely different, but it's very different idea in terms of it's embracing like your drama background. It's about putting on a show.
It's just like that. The topic of the video just happens to be sexual in some way, in some respects, but that's what it is for me. And that's not to say that I'm pretending to do things that I don't say or do, but it is about getting into it as well. Yeah, right? I genuinely enjoy it. Yeah. And I think I'm lucky that I feel like I can express my sexuality anyway in my real life. I don't really feel like I have to. A lot of people feel a lot more suppressed in that way, and they don't feel like because it's taboo, especially in this country. We're prudes in this country, so people who are sexual or do things that are sexual, it's really, really not acceptable. It's actually quite shameful in the eyes of a lot of people, whether they think that or whether they've been culturally just programmed to think like that. But if you were to start sharing all the things you've done over the weekend or about your sexual escapades, that's just not dinner party conversation. And think about it, that's ridiculous, because sex, look, the human race wouldn't exist without sex. It's an amazing thing to be able to share that, have those experiences with people that you love, or just for fun, or there's nothing wrong with it. If it's all safe and consensual and everybody's happy, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But it's this hidden thing. It's a bit like, lying about stealing stuff from the shops or having a drug problem or all these other things that you don't want other people to know about. Your sex life has got to be one of those things that you keep to yourself and do not talk about it to other people. And I think that's a problem. I really think that's a cultural problem that needs to change. I think it is over time. I think the fact that there are so many people doing things like OnlyFans now is testament to the attitudes are changing. They're not changing fast enough, but They are changing, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, if that's what she said, it was a way of her being able to express herself, then she's done that because she can't express herself otherwise, and I think that's a shame. I mean, I think fair play, you know, I think that's great that she's found an outlet, but I think it's a shame she needed that outlet in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't just doing it just for that, to be fair. There's obviously the monetary side of it as well, which I'm guessing is probably part of the reason why you do it as well.
I think the thing is you can be in control of it. You can... It's up to you how well you do on it, or how much you're prepared to put into it. I mean, I don't do it full time in the sense that I do in-person shoots as well. I try and do 3 shoots a week. Or I do things like a day making content for my OnlyFans, or driving up here to see, you know, that's my day gone now.
Yeah.
But it is... you know, other people can cancel on me. I can have photographers, videographers, things turn out wrong, you know, and then I get something cancelled. I take deposits. At the end of the day, this is my income, and it's frustrating when your income is in someone else's hands. You know, being self-employed, it's really hard being self-employed, and you don't get the benefits like sick days pay, and you know, and just a day off from your boss or someone else taking the slack. If you don't do what you've got to be doing, no one else is going to do it for you.
Sure.
And there's no one to pick up the pieces. And at least with things like OnlyFans is that I can be in control of that.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
I might go, do you know what? I'm taking a couple of days off because whatever's gone on in my life, I'm not picking up the phone. I can't do it today. I need that break from the screen. And I do that, and I don't apologise for doing that.
No, of course not.
Because that's the downside is you generally always have to be on.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to that point you were saying about trying to be consistent, right, and kind of, you know, being authentic. And in order to garner that following and garner that engagement, you need to be posting quite regularly, right?
You do need to be posting regularly. I mean, there's techniques. There's no one method, but on, you know, in general, it needs to be consistent. You can't have. You know, I made the mistake of having someone run it for me for a while, and then I got rid of them because they wouldn't post. They just wouldn't post. They were posting. I'd look back and they haven't posted in 25 days or something, and I was like, this is wrong. You're letting my fans down. I was doing all the comment, replying the messages, but they were just taking the pictures and putting them up, and they weren't doing it, and it's not fair on people who are paid to see you, even if they've only paid a small amount. You know, if you've committed to doing this, you've got to do it. But we're also humans, and I do not think that loads of screen time is good for us. I think this rise in social media, this rise of people being constantly on their phones is not a good thing.
No, I agree.
So it's about finding a way. How can I deliver what I promise and deliver what needs to be delivered without losing my sanity? Because you cannot and shouldn't be on screen 24/7. You need to have a break. You need your own life. You need to have that break from work.
Yeah, I agree. And not to plug this or anything like that, but like we've spoken about social media a few times on this podcast, especially in the context of mental health as well. And like I think the conclusion that, you know, me and my friend both drew from it is, you know, not to sit on the fence, but it could be a good or a bad thing, really. Like, it's good in terms of, you know, you've seen positive stuff in terms of, I think back when we filmed it, it was like at the height of kind of BLM and stuff like that. But then also you kind of get the negative kind of side of it in terms of people comparing themselves unfavorably to people when in reality some of their lives aren't necessarily what they seem.
And you know what the scary thing is your brain, even though you logically know that's the case, your brain doesn't know the difference. So even if you knew for a fact that person who's in a really smart suit looking really sharp, they've got a beautiful partner, they've got a lovely home, they've got a car, whatever it is, you don't know how staged that picture is. Yeah. And it's very easy to have, even if they're not doing it saying that I live in this mansion, they're only going to post when they have an amazing time with their mates and drinking a photogenic cocktail. You know, no one posts pints of beer, do they? They post the sex on the beach cocktail, the pretty colour thing with on the rooftop thing, and then next week they show they post a picture from the holiday that they had 2 years ago. But suddenly all their account, and even though you know this is fake, your subconscious brain doesn't know it, and you will still feel crap about your own life when you see these other people having a better life than you, even when you don't, because your brain can't work out the difference between reality and what's just been fabricated. And that's scary because it means we don't have it doesn't mean we can't control our emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Our brains aren't advanced; they're too simple to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah,
and we're
sure.
going to have negative reactions to things that are fake. And now, how are you supposed to stay sane when you've got that going on?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess just to bring it back to OnlyFans, I wanted to bring up 2 points actually that you kind of touched on actually. So the first one is on income. So feel free not to divulge like figures, which I'm sure you probably won't. But like again, when I've seen and spoken to people who work in OnlyFans, it feels like it's quite a sliding scale between, you know, earning like really small amounts versus earning like sometimes you see like millions, for example. I guess from your perspective, like how I was going to ask how much do you earn, but like if you don't want to give like the specific answer, like generally speaking, like what's the range of money you tend to earn from it, like weekly,
It varies
monthly,
because I can have a really big difference. If I get custom videos, you can charge a lot more for. Because if I get 4 custom videos 1 month, and the other month and the following month I haven't got any customs, but I've just had little sales of, you know, I've got subscriptions and that kind of stuff.
And
it's about how it averages out.
Yeah.
And
how much would you charge for like a custom video? Like what's the scale?
That completely depends on what it is.
And that leads me on to my next point. Like, what types of things would you do?
I would say the more niche. I would do anything pretty much on a video.
What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do?
Weirdest thing?
Or like the one which you just thought, oh, that's unusual. Like I've never done that one before.
I mean, I had one recently where the guy wanted to buy a pair of my shoes. So I had to make a video wearing the shoes and a thong and a pair of stockings. And then I had to just basically, following making the video, bundle them up and stick them in the poster.
Did you have to vacuum seal them as well?
I didn't vacuum
Sealing all the flavour?
No, not that fancy. Good old sandwich bags. Just a sandwich bag, that'll do. And post them off. But it was very much about, and he paid a good amount of money. But the video was kind of an afterthought, a little add-on. What he really wanted was me to send in these shoes. And like, when someone has a very specific thing that they want, the more specific it is, the more you can charge for it. Because if he just said, can I have any pair of shoes? Well, I could pick any shoes that I don't want anymore. Whereas if he goes, I want this and I want you to do that in the video, followed by that, finally end up saying that, then blow a kiss to the camera and say my name, they're people's fantasies, and you probably know this as a human. Like if you've got something that's turning on in your head, it's very specific and nothing outside of that. You can't just go, oh, do you know what? I wanted a redhead, but actually a blonde, or don't know. If your fantasy that's turning you on is a redhead girl, it has to be redhead, or the fantasy's not going to work. So when people have something that's very, very specific, if you've got someone who can deliver that and make that fantasy come to life, that's quite a nice gift to be able to do for someone.
And do you remember how much you paid for that video?
He paid for all inclusive.
I'm so
all
curious.
inclusive for the video, the stockings on thong and shoes that I had to send him. That was $500.
$500.
But that doesn't happen all the time. If I was getting customs like that every day, I wouldn't have driven myself here. I would have got a driver. You know.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It isn't, and it completely varies. You get some people who are just freebie hunters, and they just but you get to know that. And
so on a good month, for example, like if you say if you had like a good custom video customer plus all the subscriptions, like
I'm not going to divulge my income.
No, of course not.
But... I hover between in the top about top 8% and top 12% in OnlyFans, but that's not the way they count it. I actually don't know exactly how they work out your percentage, but it's no one thing. It's like how many new subscribers you've had that month, how many have you retained from the previous month who haven't cancelled their subscription, how much have you earned, how responsive are the people you are on your account, do they chat back, or are they just sitting there like not talking at all, you know, that kind of thing. So it's an algorithm thing, and I couldn't tell you how it works, and quite frankly they're probably changing it every month, because OnlyFans do that. They like to change the rules every single month, which is very confusing, but you just have to try it and see. But yeah, I'm hovering between sort of 8, 10, 12, that kind of thing. Around I'm trying to creep up, but it's it's the closer you get to the top 1%, the harder it is. So you'll shoot up from when you first join, and you literally join that day. You've got no followers, you might have fans on other platforms, but you've got no one on OnlyFans, and you've got no pictures up. You're going to be at top 100%, and then going up, going up, going up. You go up quite quickly. You go up really quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then the closer you get to that top 1%, the more it slows down, and it's harder and harder to climb that last little bit. But it's all you do. You just like any job, just like anything. You keep it one foot in front of the other. You keep going, and if you focus on the process, not the outcome, then the outcome will happen by itself. Like rather than stressing how many pounds have I earned this month, or how many this, what's happened, what number am I at, because you can drive yourself nuts with these metrics. Just go, am I doing the things that go towards delivering the outcome? Do I keep up social media consistently? That's a big one. Social media, the reach,
and you run all helps. The kind of like, you on X, Instagram, all the rest of them.
Yeah, do you know what? Keeping up social media that's a lot.
I can imagine it's a full-time job, right? Because and especially because I'm assuming, or at least this was the case with Charlotte, that was her main tool for promoting herself. So if you're not on OnlyFans, or if you're not an OnlyFans subscriber, that's the main way people can find out about you.
Because OnlyFans don't have their own native way of searching. You can't. It's not like on Facebook where you can type in random names or you can Google certain things and someone will come up. They don't. You have to know their OnlyFans handle to find a person. So the only way to market yourself is not through the OnlyFans things. Posting, you can post all you like on your page. No one's going to see it if they haven't been brought in from somewhere else.
Yeah, sure.
So things like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, posting stories as well, like relentlessly. It is a lot. And going back to needing time out for yourself, it is quite a good idea, I think. It works for me anyway. As soon as you think of an idea for a little TikTok, as soon as you think of anything where you got, do you know what? I've done my 2 posts today. I've done my 2 TikToks today, or whatever you plan to do. I'm going to take that and bank it, because then when you've got a day when you're in bed with flu,
you can just.
Or you're just going. Do you know what? I just can't do it today because life happens, and sometimes we can't, and it means that. All right, some days, occasionally I'll miss a day of social media. Occasionally I will only post 1 thing when I was supposed to be posting 4 things. But I don't leave it too long. And then if I'm really going, do you know what? I still can't do another day. I've got something else there that I can post, and it just keeps up that presence. I would say that's the hardest. That's one of the hardest things is because it's an ongoing thing. You can't take holidays in the same way that somebody who is employed can.
Sure.
Somebody who's employed can go, I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks. And I mean you could do that, but generally you'd want to have something, even if it means scheduling ahead all your stuff.
Yeah.
To go absolutely silent for 2 weeks when you have a platform like OnlyFans, that would be quite hard for your followers, because some of them will only come on board for a month.
Yeah, and at the end of the day,
they might not, because they don't like you, but they like to try out following different girls. So 1 month they do you, then the next month they do that person, the next month they that person. So if you've gone quiet for 2 weeks, that's quite a lot of time for that one person.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they've obviously paid to subscribe to you.
They have. Yeah. It's not a lot, really. It's not a lot, but if you're loyal to them and they like you, they will do things like order custom videos, and they will stay for that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th month. It's you can feel free to have a bit of a quiet period, but then don't be surprised if they go, do you know what, I'm not going to stay, I'm going to give her a few months miss because she's not doing anything.
No, that makes sense. And sorry, there's one other question that I was just going to ask you, actually, which we didn't quite probably touch on, is throughout your career, or especially on OnlyFans, is there anything, like any custom videos that you got, or any collaborations that you've done that you just look back and just be like, I'm not quite sure about that one?
No, I did get asked. This wasn't on OnlyFans. This was from somewhere. I got asked to do a scat video. I don't know if you all know what scat is.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said that like I said that in like a way that I like enjoyed it. But I absolutely don't. I was like, oh, I do.
I said no,
I do know
and
it
I
is.
said no to that because I didn't feel comfortable doing that. I didn't feel comfortable of there being video evidence of that going out on the internet, and so I mean, there's. I have limits, as everyone should have limits, and if you've got limits, you should stick to it, because once you put something out to the internet, into the world,
once someone shits on you, that's a wrap. To be honest, like I couldn't imagine, apart from probably, I don't know, like bestiality or something like that, I could imagine.
And again, you've got like
low.
it's just yeah, stuff like that. You know, I just I have never been asked to do that. Any bestiality, I haven't actually been asked to do that so far.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things where I go, do you know what? I'm
no
trying
amount
to.
of money that you can pay me
there's
to
no. I'm
even-
like,
yeah,
no,
sure.
and that was with the scat one. I was going, well, I wonder if there's an amount of money that would accept for that. You know, because everyone's got a price for everything, and I couldn't think of it. I kept thinking, you know, would I do it for? I mean, maybe for £1 million, but who's going to pay that for one video? That's not going to happen. So you never know.
Someone on Pornhub might be
honestly,
just lacing your pockets.
It would have
sooner
to
than
be
you think.
life changing because one thing's going to be life changing: either the money that they get me, or in
you
a
just
way
have them
that
doo-doo
isn't
in your
good.
chest or
Even the
something,
fact
yeah.
that there's a video out there is also going to be life changing and not necessarily in a good way. So I wouldn't.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, you probably, like I say, you probably can't get a lower bar than scat, to be fair, actually. I think just before we start kind of finishing off, actually, I think there's always one question that I always tend to think about in terms of content creators on OnlyFans, and that's just like the impact that it has on your general life and like your friends and family, for example, because I think there's this kind of conception from people that, or sorry, let me rephrase. There's this kind of idea that you're almost like not human as an OnlyFans person. Like you're almost kind of like removed from being just like a normal person. So I'm always interested to see kind of like what impact it's had on like your personal life and how, I don't know if your friends and family know or.
I try not to get involved. I think more people know than they make out. I think because going back to the fact that it's taboo, people are scared to ask me about it or scared to mention it, even if they've got questions they'd like to. Because it's taboo, they just keep it quiet. So I think more people know than they say. I try not to get my personal life involved. Having said that, I'm not going to get my personal life involved. When you are self-employed, and anyone who's self-employed and runs their own complete own business themselves will know there isn't much personal life left when you've got your own business.
Sure.
It would be, in some ways, sometimes I have days when I go, do you know what, I just want to turn up to work, do as I'm told, go home, switch off. But that's only when I'm really tired or ill or hungover or something. Like, when I'm feeling good, actually, I love it. I really, really love it. So, you know, I also, sometimes I do find the people in the kind of adult world as well, they have slightly different personalities and outlooks on life. Or people like yourself who are interested in conversations about things. It means that we think slightly differently to the majority of the public.
In what sense, sorry to interrupt, I was going to say, in what sense do people who do adult work, what's their kind of like viewpoint, you mean?
We're just that we are okay with, you know, we don't have these issues about sexual things being taboo. We understand, you know, we don't, all the ones I've met anyway, they're just they're much more open-minded, and they're not, you know, they don't have these preconceived notions of what's right and wrong in that sense. You know, they're like, come on, there are people out there murdering people, stealing, you know, there's all these things that are going wrong in the world. Why is there such a taboo against people having a job in the sex industry? Like, it really is, like, it really seems so shameful. I would get a better reception going to my family going, do you know what I do for a living? I sell heroin.
Yeah.
That would go down further. That would go down better than saying that I work in the sex industry. And that, to me, is insanity.
Yeah.
But that is the truth. The truth of the matter is, we are seen as something, as by a lot of people, it's something that is wrong and we shouldn't be doing it. And that is an insane point of view from what I can see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think the kind of the crux of it for me is the big difference between, say, OnlyFans and kind of selling drugs is you're not hurting people doing OnlyFans, right?
We're not hurting anybody.
Exactly. And I think, to your point, it's so taboo, especially in this country, that people would rather you kind of sell drugs, or it's more palatable for you to sell drugs than
to be honest,
for you
I've
to be a
never
sex
put
worker.
that. I never did a test where I put that phrase and lied about that to anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if I was doing something like drug dealing, that would be more socially acceptable than what I'm doing now.
So on that point, did you tell your family that you're doing kind of sex work, and what was the reaction?
My mum knows I'm doing.
What did she think about it?
Oh, she didn't really get it. She was like, why don't you just go and get a job in Waitrose or something? I'm like, Yeah, but Mum, I need funding to live, and I don't
Yeah.
for my life, for what I have, the things I need to pay for. I said I'd be working. I can't do that. I can't afford. Do you know what? Some days when I've been tired or stressed, or it's all got a bit much, and everybody has those days, but I'd say especially people who are self-employed, because you don't get that break. I know when I'm getting a bit stressed and tired and I need a rest and a bit of self-care, because I start going on Indeed.com and looking what kind of jobs are around.
I mean, you're not the only one. I do it as well.
You know, and you go there and I think, I can't do this anymore. I can't have everything about what I earn and my life literally on my shoulders and nobody else's. That gets a bit hard. But I've looked around at other jobs, and unless you have the qualifications or are willing to take some time off to get the qualifications, we don't all have that option. Taking 3 years out to go back to university. I'm not saying I'm doing OnlyFans reluctantly because I can't do anything else. I'm saying if you go back and you look at your situation and what are your options, and sometimes what OnlyFans gives me, or what everything I do gives me, and being self-employed in general, is that financial freedom that it's in my control, and it means that if I need more money one month, or I've got some more expenses coming up,
it's on you to kind of you can control that.
I can make it happen, and I also might choose not to. I might go, do you know what? We're gonna be, eating beans on toast this month. but
listen, let's not beans on toast. Elite meal.
So at least I've got that. That's in my hands now, that I can make things happen, and that's quite empowering as well. That I can do that. Whereas I couldn't in many jobs. I wouldn't have that flexibility. I like to be able to go, actually, I'm gonna have a day off and go and do something for myself, or I'm going to have a lie-in today, or whatever it is I choose to do. I can choose to do that, and don't have that flexibility with other jobs.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and I always talk to people about this as well, like the end goal has always got to be to work for yourself, whatever that might be, just so, to your point, you can have that financial and just that kind of work-life kind of balance and freedom as well. So I totally get it in that respect. So yeah, good on you. Thanks for watching 30 Years and Running. Please subscribe, comment and share. See you next week. Peace.